Welcome to this week's Monday Match Points. I have Craig and Ken with me again this week. What I want to start with is a message for coaches, and this has been a commonly asked question over the last couple days as we've gotten into about a month of the season here is how do we report records of opponents that we have played from outside the state of Nebraska? That seems to be more common now than it was maybe even 10 years ago. And so during the regular season, coaches, you can send me those win-loss records for your out-of-state opponents in an email, and I'll typically get those updated within about 24 hours. I'm going to be in the process this week of classifying those out-of-state teams now that we are able to get enrollment numbers for those schools, and we'll classify them in the wildcard system so that you get the appropriate number of points. Hope to have that completed sometime later this week. So again, for any of you coaches that play out-of-state teams, feel free to shoot me their win-loss records in an email, and I can usually get those updated within about 24 hours. And before I kick it over to Craig, I just want to say happy Officials Appreciation Week for the fall for our volleyball officials. Hopefully some of our schools, as you get out into them this week, will have some festivities for you. But I just wanted to quickly say thanks for all that you do, and thanks for making it an option for our kids to be able to play the sport that they love. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Craig.
Thanks, Jeff. Hey, I just wanted to quickly talk about exceptional subs. It's something this is my 30th year of reffing, and I think I've only maybe had to use an exceptional sub once. So it doesn't happen very often. But what I'm going to have Jeff do is I'm going to have him actually put up the rule, which is 10-3-6. And this is actually for both coaches and officials, because I think coaches also should be educated on this, just in case this happens. One of the things I've noticed is it seems like some teams don't have as many players as they used to on them, just because some of the smaller schools don't have as many kids going out. So we may see this exceptional sub come up more often than in the past. But one of the things that I wanted to kind of go over with this is that the priority that's in this, like I said, 10-3-6 of the priority of how you choose the exceptional sub. So the first one is the exceptional sub should be by a teammate who has never played in this set or a player who has played in that position earlier in this set. So when you have an exceptional sub, that's most likely going to happen if they've used their 18 subs. So that's kind of the first one. The second one is by any legal non-libero teammate on the bench who is not currently being replaced by the libero, regardless of the previous position played. So this is basically in case when the libero has to come back goes to the front row, that the person that they replaced, the libero replaced, you can't have them as the exceptional sub. And then this is the one that's probably the third priority here, is by a libero if no other possible substitutes exist. And the reason that's important is because I think a lot of times teams may want to use their libero as the exceptional sub, but that is only if you A and B above is not met, then you could go to C. And just a couple other things I'd like to make note about the exceptional sub. It's only for the set and not the match. So if you make an exceptional sub in the first set, that player could play in the second set. It counts as a substitution if they haven't used their 18 subs. And the last thing is they can't play with 5 players. So let's say, the player's hurt. They only have like 6 players. They can't play with 5 players. If they have a player, they have to play him as the exceptional sub. So again, I wanted to bring this up because I've had a couple examples this week with that, and I think it's just good for all of us to be educated on it. Ken?
Thanks, Craig. I just want to give a shout out. I watched, and I'm sure Craig and Kim have too, watched a ton of volleyball these first 3 weeks, and a lot of great volleyball and a lot of great officiating. And we, as Jeff said, we really do appreciate your officiating and your time and your travel. We're going to ask you still to every match, try to find one thing that maybe you can improve on or work on or things that way. And today what I want to really talk about is just, I know you know, but just as a reminder, as a role of an R1 and an R2, because they have separate responsibilities in the match. And sometimes it's easy when you've been an R1 one match, and especially if you're doing a triangular or a tournament, and you're R2 the next match, sometimes it's like we kind of mix those two together. So we just want to really encourage you to make sure that the R1 is the R1 with responsibilities, and the R2 is the R2 with responsibilities. And where I'm drawing this from is from this blue book, and I'm trying to hold it up here so you can see it, but it's the Volleyball Officials Manual. It's got great information. R1s, if you'll review on 36 through 50 on your responsibilities, on R2, your information is on pages 51 through 78. It's great information. It's how to apply the rules. So what I want to just read a couple points out of that. Again, focusing on the R2 today, is that you focus between the 10-foot lines. And on page 53, there's a line right in there that says, the second referee's primary responsibility is the net area between the net and the attack line. And that works on both sides. And so that means we want you to linger at the net. We don't care if you really see the first contact on a hard-driven attack. We want you to linger at the net, to watch from the line up and from the top of the net down. The one comment I have had from a number of coaches this year is they feel like some R2s are not staying at the net long enough and maybe missing some of the net fouls. R2s, this is your opportunity to blow the whistle. And so the R1 doesn't get to do it all. So this is your opportunity to, and you take care of that net. The other thing it says on that same page on 53, or on 53, it says, prior to every live ball, the referee should make a mental note to where the team setter is positioned. So the other thing with the R2, know that alignment. Know if they're front row and back row. And, you can give informal signals to help your R1 or your R2 that way. But R2s, stay at the net. Know where your setter is every time. Don't worry about the first hard-driven attempt to play, because the R1 will cover that. Trust your R1. You guys are doing a great job. We're here to help you. And thanks for your officiating. Jeff, I'll give it back to you.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Craig. Again, just quickly before we sign off for today, happy Officials Appreciation Week to our volleyball officials. Coaches, you should have received an email from me this morning with some information on Officials Appreciation Week. So if you haven't taken a look at that, take a look at the information, see maybe some ideas for some things that you can do for officials this week if you're hosting some matches in your school. And we'll celebrate everything that there is to celebrate for our volleyball officials this week. So with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and we will see you next time.